Hello, hello everybody.
Hello, welcome back to Getting That Medical Degree, where we talk everything medical related. Today's topic is Mcat Academy. What are we going to talk about today, Zach?
The endocrine
More
system.
bio?
Yeah, more
All
bio.
right, the endocrine system.
So more bio. So
Okay, let's talk about this hormone system.
yeah, so this is gonna be a very in-depth video because endocrine's just a lot of stuff going on. So we'll try to make it simple and give you the highlights of it that's actually important, but let's get into it. So peptides are made of amino acids. These are usually cleaved from a bigger peptide. The Golgi apparatus that we talked about in the first video in the cell, this modifies and activates the hormones, puts it into a vesicle, which is released via exocytosis, so it's like releasing it out. And they're polar, so they cannot pass through the membrane. So usually like an extracellular receptor such as GPCR. Some common second messengers are Ca and P, calcium and IP. Steroids are made in the gonads and adrenal cortex. They're made from cholesterol. They don't dissolve, and they must be carried by proteins or nonpolar, so they can pass through the membrane. So the peptides are polar, so they can't pass through the membranes, while these are nonpolar, so they can pass through. These activate nuclear receptors. They have direct action on DNA. Some common ones are estrogen, testosterone, and cortisol. So, amino acid derivative hormones. These kind of like a mix between the two, so they kind of have peptide and steroid traits. So, like catecholamines, they use GPCR. Thyroxine binds intracellular. Nope, we already talked about that. Then you have direct versus tropic hormones. So direct, these kind of acts directly on the target tissue or organ, so like insulin. And tropic, which require like an intermediary, so they only affect each other. Other endocrine tissues. So like GnRH and LH are both tropic. Diabetes, type 1, type 2. Type 1, no insulin, so glucose is not able to enter cells. Type 2, they're kind of desensitized insulin receptors, so glucose is not able to enter the cell. So I think we did diabetes lecture on this channel. I'm not 100% sure. If not, we'll probably do one soon too. So we'll talk about that more there as well. Hypothalamus, this is a lot going on. So G and RH, this causes FSH to increase and LH to increase. GHRH causes growth hormone to increase. THRH causes TSH to increase. CRH causes ACTH to increase. Dopamine causes prolactin to decrease. And ADH and oxytocin is produced in the hypothalamus, but is released from the posterior pituitary. So, so TRH is thyroid releasing hormone, which causes thyroid stimulating hormone to be released. So, in the pancreas, so insulin is from the beta cells, which decreases glucagon. Glucagon is released by the alpha cells, which increase glucose. And somatostatin is released by the delta cells, which decrease insulin and decrease glucagon. So knowing what cells release what is kind of important here in what's going on in the pancreas. So beta, insulin, alpha, glucagon, delta, somatostatin. Gonads, testosterone, testes, estrogen, progesterone, ovaries. Pineal gland, melatonin. That's important for your circadian rhythm, which is like how you stay awake and how you go to sleep and like your day-to-day activities. So if you have an issue with your melatonin or you take too much melatonin, so taking too much melatonin can cause your body to make less melatonin, so now your body's reliant on that supplement, which is just bad in the long term. That's why you should never really take melatonin supplements. So anterior pituitary FSH, it's follicle stimulating hormone. Males, spermatogenesis. Females, growth of the ovarian follicles. LH, testosterone. Females, induces ovulation. So that's stuff we talked about in the previous video, so that should be kind of a review now. ACTH synthesis and release of glucocorticoids from the adrenal cortex. TSH, this is like releasing the thyroid hormones from the thyroid, as I talked about before. So prolactin increases milk production. Endorphins decrease your pain. And growth hormone just makes you grow. Also increasing glucose. Thyroid, T4 and T3, these are made by the follicle cells, increase your basal metabolic rate. So hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism are two disease states based on the thyroid gland. So you don't make enough of thyroid stuff, you're gonna be in like hypo, and you make too much of like hyper. Basically, yeah, that's all I'll talk about there. Calcitonin, it's made by the parafollicular cells. So it increases the calcium in the bone, decreases the calcium in the blood, decreases the absorption of calcium in the gut, and increase the excretion of calcium. So lots of stuff to know there. What's happening where. And then parathyroid glands, so PTH, it's kind of the opposite of what we just talked about. So decrease calcium in the blood, bone, increase in the blood, increase in the gut, and decrease excretion. This also activates vitamin D, which is calcitrol. ADH decreases water output in urine, also causes vasoconstriction. Oxytocin increases your uterine contractions, increases milk, increased bonding behavior, and also it's a positive feedback behavior. Adrenal cortex, um, glucocorticoids, mineralocorticoids, androgens. So cortisol and cortisone increase your glucose, decrease your protein synthesis, and decrease your immune system, which is why stress is pretty bad for your immune system. So when you're more stressed, you're more likely to get sick due to cortisol reducing your immune system response. Yeah, that kind of adds up.
Yeah, it's always interconnected.
Everything is connected. It's crazy. That's why it's important to know this chapter inside and out to kind of like understand what's happening in the future chapters. So mineral corticoids is aldosterone. So decrease K in the blood, increase sodium in the blood, and increase H2O in the blood due to osmosis. Also increase blood pressure. Androgens converted to testosterone, estrogen in the gonads. Adrenal medulla. This is the catecholamines. So epinephrine, antihistamine, increase heart rate, blood pressure. Same thing as norepi. That's it. So, I hope you guys learned something new from this video. It's very detailed. You really probably need to read the book chapter on this one and like watch some Khan Academy to go a little bit slower through it and to digest it some more in multiple different pathways and learn it more. So,
Yeah, a bunch of Anki as well.
yeah,
I,
this
I
is
still I still have not finished this learning everything about this one.
yeah, there's a lot to digest. I mean, you need to see this material multiple times. So I just went through it briefly, but this is the key points. So you might have to watch this a couple times, watch another video to get a different perspective on the material. But yeah, I recommend Khan Academy too to get another like look through it. So, any other final thoughts?
Oh, pretty broad. It's pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to digest here. A lot of hormones to know where they come from, so to know what releases what, what's the name of the hormone, what's the class of hormones releasing. So I know in like epinephrine's a catecholamine, but that's from the adrenal medulla. After you know that, and I have to know what that does. So a lot of like things you have to put together and figure out what it does and how that think about how that reacts with other parts of the body. So like this increases your heart rate, increases your blood pressure. So now that's affecting your heart. So how's it gonna affect your heart? What's your heart gonna do now? So that's happening. To like connect those things together is kind of how you're gonna do go in the Mcat. So, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Next video is gonna be on the respiratory system. So we'll see you then. Peace.